Have you ever looked up at the night sky and felt a strange mix of awe and loneliness? That overwhelming sensation that hits you when you realize the stars above aren't just tiny dots scattered across a black canvas but entire suns, millions or even billions of times larger than Earth, each with their own planets, moons, and possibly their own stories. We humans have always had this unshakable curiosity: are we really alone in this vast cosmic wilderness? It's a question that has haunted philosophers, scientists, and dreamers for centuries, and today it has become one of the most important scientific mysteries of our age. If alien life exists, where is it hiding? And if it doesn't, then why is this universe so eerily silent? From the earliest days of human civilization, we have looked at the heavens not just as a source of wonder, but as a source of meaning. The ancient Greeks speculated about other worlds beyond our own. Medieval thinkers debated whether the stars in the sky might each be suns with their own planets and perhaps their own versions of life. Later, science fiction carried this imagination further, populating the galaxy with beings that were sometimes friendly and wise, other times terrifying and hostile. Aliens became symbols of our deepest fears and highest hopes. But beneath all the myths and movies lies a fundamental truth. When we imagine aliens, we're really reflecting on ourselves. We're asking whether our existence is unique, whether our story is special, or whether we're just another small chapter in a much larger universal book. The question of alien life isn't just about curiosity. It carries enormous weight for science, philosophy, and even religion. Imagine, for a moment, that we find evidence of a second Earth somewhere far away. That discovery would instantly transform our understanding of humanity's place in the cosmos. For centuries, people believed Earth was the center of the universe, until Copernicus and Galileo shattered that illusion by showing that we orbit the Sun, just another planet in a solar system filled with worlds. If we were to discover life beyond Earth, even in the form of the simplest microbe, it would mark the next great revolution in human thought. It would mean that life is not unique to our little blue planet, that biology is not an Earth-exclusive phenomenon, and that perhaps intelligence too may arise again and again across the stars. On the other hand, if we truly are alone, then that loneliness gives our existence both a terrifying fragility and an extraordinary importance. The scale of the universe itself almost begs us to believe in company. Our own Milky Way galaxy is home to somewhere between 100 and 400 billion stars. Many of those stars have planetary systems, and some of those planets orbit within the so-called habitable zone, the region around a star where conditions are just right for liquid water to exist. Now extend that beyond our galaxy. Astronomers estimate there are about 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. 2 trillion. To even comprehend that number is almost impossible. If every star were a grain of sand, there would be more stars in the universe than there are grains of sand on every beach, desert, and dune across the Earth combined. And if even a tiny fraction of those stars host Earth-like planets, then the number of potential homes for life stretches into the billions. With such overwhelming probability, it seems almost absurd to believe that Earth is the only cradle of life. And yet, despite this cosmic abundance, we are faced with a strange and unsettling silence. This puzzle was famously summed up by physicist Enrico Fermi, who asked the simple but profound question: if aliens are out there, then where is everybody? This mystery is known as the Fermi paradox. Logically, with billions of possible habitable worlds, the galaxy should be teeming with civilizations. Some of them should be far older and more advanced than us, with technology capable of colonizing planets, sending probes, or at the very least, leaving signals across the stars. By this reasoning, alien evidence should be everywhere. But when we point our telescopes into the cosmos, we find nothing. The universe is astonishingly quiet. There are countless possible explanations. Maybe intelligent life is far rarer than we think, and Earth is an incredibly lucky lottery winner in the game of evolution. Maybe civilizations do arise but eventually destroy themselves before they have a chance to explore the stars, through war, environmental collapse, or technologies they couldn't control. Or perhaps aliens are so advanced that we simply cannot comprehend their existence, in the same way that ants crawling on the ground cannot possibly understand the concept of Wi-Fi signals passing through the air above them. Another possibility, one that often appears in science fiction, is that aliens are deliberately avoiding us. Perhaps we are inside some kind of cosmic zoo, being quietly observed without our knowledge like animals behind glass. And then of course there's the wild card. Maybe they're already here, closer than we think, but hiding in ways we can't yet detect. This silence, paradoxical as it is, forces us to confront the big question head-on. If we're alone, then it's up to us to protect and cherish life, because it may be the rarest phenomenon in the universe. If we're not alone, then the universe becomes a far more exciting, mysterious, and perhaps even dangerous place. Either way, the implications are staggering. For now, we are left with nothing but our curiosity, our telescopes, and our imagination. Each night, as the stars shine above us, the question lingers: are we truly the only voices in this infinite cosmic choir, or is there another verse waiting to be heard? And so the search begins. Humanity has already taken its first steps toward solving this riddle. We scan the skies with radio telescopes, listening for whispers from the stars. We launch spacecraft to explore nearby worlds, searching for signs of water, chemistry, and maybe even microbes. We catalog thousands of exoplanets, hoping that one of them may be a second Earth. We send our own messages into space, broadcasting our existence in the hope that someone, somewhere, is listening. Perhaps one day the silence will be broken. Until then, we continue to ask the same haunting, beautiful, terrifying question: are we alone? When we try to imagine the universe, our minds almost always fall short. It's simply too vast, too overwhelming, too incomprehensible. We talk about billions of stars and trillions of galaxies, but these are just words, numbers spoken casually in classrooms or science documentaries, without truly feeling what they mean. To really grasp the immensity of space, you have to step outside of Earth for a moment, at least in your imagination, and let yourself float in the dark void where there is no sound, no up or down, just endless black sprinkled with points of light. This is what Carl Sagan, one of the great science communicators, once called the cosmic ocean. And it is an ocean so vast that even if you traveled at the speed of light, you would never live long enough to see all its shores. Think about this: our planet Earth feels gigantic to us. We spend lifetimes traveling its continents, flying over its oceans, climbing its mountains. Yet when seen from space, Earth is nothing but a fragile blue marble, a tiny drop in an endless sea. Now, take that small drop and place it inside the solar system. Suddenly, Earth feels even smaller because our solar system is dominated by giants: Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, planets so massive that Earth could fit inside them hundreds of times. And even then, the solar system itself is a speck within our galaxy. The Milky Way, our galactic home, is a sprawling city of stars, home to hundreds of billions of suns. To travel across it would take you 100,000 years at the speed of light. And here's the kicker: the Milky Way isn't special. It's just one out of an estimated 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. 2 trillion. Let that sink in. If every galaxy were a city, then the universe would be like a map with more cities than all the cities, towns, and villages on Earth multiplied by 1 billion. Each galaxy filled with stars, each star possibly hosting planets, and each planet a candidate for life. This is the scale we're dealing with when we ask, are we alone? It's not a question of a few neighbors in our cosmic backyard. It's a question about an entire ocean so vast that Earth isn't even a noticeable island. It's a grain of sand lost on an infinite beach. Scientists often compare the number of stars to grains of sand on Earth. Imagine holding a handful of sand. Now imagine all the beaches on the planet, all the deserts, every tiny particle of sand stretching for miles. There are more stars in the universe than all of those grains combined. And yet, here we are, staring out into the dark, still unsure whether a single one of those countless stars hosts another civilization staring back. The odds, from a statistical perspective, should be overwhelmingly in favor of life existing elsewhere. But numbers don't tell the whole story. Numbers give us probability, they don't give us proof. That's what makes the search so haunting and so exciting at the same time. Now let's take a step closer to what this means. If the universe is an ocean, then we are like sailors who have only just built their first canoe. For all of human history, we've been confined to Earth. Only in the past few decades have we managed to dip our toes beyond the shoreline, sending probes to Mars, landing rovers, flying past Jupiter and Saturn, and launching spacecraft like Voyager, which now drift in interstellar space, still sending faint whispers of data back to us. These are our first baby steps into the cosmic ocean. Imagine being at the shore of a vast, unknown sea. You look out and the horizon seems endless. You don't know what creatures might lurk in the depths, what distant lands might exist beyond your sight. That's exactly where humanity stands right now. We've barely begun exploring, and the possibilities ahead are staggering. But here's the mind-blowing part. Even with our tiny beginnings, we've already learned that planets are not rare. For most of history, we didn't know if other stars even had planets. In the 1990s, astronomers detected the first confirmed exoplanets, and since then, the numbers have exploded. Thanks to telescopes like Kepler and TESS, we now know that planets are everywhere. Almost every star in the sky likely has at least one. And some of those planets are in the Goldilocks zone, where conditions are just right for liquid water, a key ingredient for life as we know it. If life could arise on Earth, why not on those worlds too? It's as if the universe has been scattering seeds everywhere, and the only question is whether they've taken root. When you think about the cosmic ocean this way, Earth becomes both precious and precarious. Precious because it is one of the few known islands of life in a sea of emptiness. Precarious because if life is truly rare, then our survival becomes even more urgent, more significant. Either way, the immensity of space transforms how we see ourselves. We are not the center of the universe. We are not even a noticeable part of it. We are travelers on a fragile boat, drifting in an endless ocean, searching for other travelers. Maybe one day we'll hear their voices. Maybe one day we'll see their sails on the horizon. Until then, the ocean stretches endlessly around us, silent, mysterious, waiting. And so the paradox deepens. If the universe is so vast, if planets are so abundant, and if life is such a natural outcome of chemistry, then why do we still feel so alone? Why does the ocean around us remain so quiet? The cosmic ocean gives us hope because of its possibilities, but it also confronts us with the eerie silence of empty waves. Perhaps we've only just begun to listen. Perhaps we're not listening the right way. Or perhaps, like lonely sailors, we are still too close to the shore to hear the songs being sung far out at sea. When scientists talk about the search for life beyond Earth, one phrase comes up again and again: the Goldilocks zone. It sounds like something out of a fairy tale, and in a way, it is. Just like Goldilocks in the story didn't want porridge that was too hot or too cold, astronomers believe life can only survive on planets that aren't too close to their star and aren't too far away. If a planet is too close, its oceans would boil away under the blistering heat. If it's too far, everything would freeze solid. But if it's in just the right spot, water can exist in liquid form, and liquid water is considered the key ingredient for life as we know it. That perfect balance, neither scorching nor frozen, is what scientists call the habitable zone, or simply the Goldilocks zone. Now here's the astonishing part. Thanks to modern telescopes, we've already discovered thousands of planets orbiting other stars, and many of them fall right into this magical zone. Some of these worlds look eerily similar to Earth. Imagine standing on a distant planet, feeling a warm breeze across alien grasslands, looking up at skies where a different star glows just as beautifully as our sun does. It almost feels like Earth 2.0 could be waiting for us out there. The discovery of these worlds has radically changed our perspective. For centuries, humans wondered whether Earth was unique, whether it was a lone oasis in a desert of lifelessness. But now we know planets are common, and many have the right conditions for life. Suddenly, the universe feels a little less empty. Of course, being in the Goldilocks zone doesn't automatically guarantee life. A planet could be in the perfect orbit but still be a lifeless rock if it doesn't have an atmosphere, or if it's constantly bombarded by deadly radiation, or if its chemistry simply never kick-started biology. After all, Venus and Mars are technically near the Sun's habitable zone, and yet one is a boiling inferno while the other is a frozen desert. Still, the fact that so many potentially habitable worlds exist suggests that life might not be a cosmic miracle confined only to Earth. Instead, it could be a natural outcome of chemistry and physics, a process that happens again and again wherever conditions allow. This is why telescopes like Kepler and TESS are so important. They've been scanning the skies, measuring tiny dips in starlight when planets pass in front of their stars. These dips tell us the planet's size, its orbit, and sometimes even hints about its atmosphere. From this data, astronomers have found worlds that are astonishingly Earth-like. Rocky planets about the same size as ours, orbiting stars that are not so different from the Sun, sitting in that precious Goldilocks sweet spot. Some of them are just a few dozen light-years away, close enough, in cosmic terms, that if we had the right technology we might one day visit them. Just the thought of it sends chills down the spine. The Goldilocks zone also raises deeper questions. If life does exist out there, will it be anything like life on Earth? Will there be forests, oceans, and clouds? Or will alien life be something so strange and unfamiliar that we might not even recognize it as life at first glance? On Earth, life has adapted to extreme environments, boiling hydrothermal vents, frozen glaciers, acidic lakes, deep underground caves. If life can survive in such bizarre conditions here, then who's to say what forms it might take elsewhere? The Goldilocks zone may not be the only place life could exist, it's just the most familiar to us. But even sticking to our definition, the fact that there are so many just right planets out there makes the idea of cosmic neighbors much more believable. And yet, despite all this, we have not found even the faintest whisper of alien biology. We've identified the houses, but we don't know if anyone is home. Maybe life is much harder to start than we think. Maybe Earth is a rare exception, a miracle born out of countless coincidences. Or maybe the universe is teeming with life, and it's only a matter of time before we detect it. The Goldilocks zone is our compass, our guiding map in the great search, pointing us toward the places where we're most likely to find others. Every new discovery of an Earth-like world brings us closer to the answer, but it also intensifies the mystery. How many Earths are out there? How many alien civilizations might exist right now, wondering the same thing we are? And if there are so many possible homes for life, then why does the night sky still feel so empty? The Goldilocks zone is not just about science, it's also about hope. It gives us the hope that we are not alone, that somewhere out there in the vast dark, other beings are looking up at their night sky and asking the very same question. Maybe one day our technologies will improve enough to let us detect alien atmospheres filled with oxygen, methane, or even artificial chemicals, clear signatures of life. Maybe one day humanity will step onto one of these alien shores and realize we were never alone after all. Until that day comes, the Goldilocks zone remains our best clue in the grand puzzle of existence, reminding us that out in the cosmic ocean, there may be countless other islands of life waiting to be discovered. By now the question has only grown louder. If the universe is so unimaginably vast, if there are billions of potentially habitable planets out there, and if life seems to spring up so easily here on Earth, then why does the night sky feel so empty? Why, in all our searching, have we never found a single piece of undeniable evidence for alien life? This strange contradiction is at the heart of one of science's greatest mysteries, something known as the Fermi paradox. It began with a simple lunchtime question posed in 1950 by the Italian physicist Enrico Fermi, who asked his colleagues, "Where is everybody?" And in that deceptively simple question lies a cosmic puzzle that still haunts us today. On the surface, the logic seems almost undeniable. With billions of stars in our galaxy and billions of galaxies in the universe, there should be countless civilizations, many of them older and more technologically advanced than us. Given enough time, even a single advanced species should have been able to spread across the galaxy, colonizing planets, building megastructures, or at the very least, sending detectable signals into space. And yet, despite decades of scanning the skies with our most sensitive instruments, we've heard nothing but silence. The night sky looks alive with possibilities, but when we listen carefully, it is eerily quiet. This is the great paradox. By all statistical reasoning, aliens should be everywhere, but observationally they seem to be nowhere. So what could explain this strange silence? There are many possible answers, each more intriguing, and sometimes more terrifying, than the last. One possibility is that intelligent life is extremely rare, perhaps even unique. Maybe life itself arises often, but intelligent, technological civilizations like ours are vanishingly rare. Earth may be the one in a billion exception, the only planet where evolution took the bizarre path of creating beings capable of building telescopes, satellites, and YouTube channels. In this scenario, the universe isn't empty, but intelligent neighbors simply don't exist. If that's true, then humanity carries an almost unbearable responsibility. We are the only voice in the cosmic wilderness. Another possibility is that civilizations do arise but rarely survive long enough to make contact. Maybe advanced societies inevitably destroy themselves. Think about it, humans have only had modern technology for a little over a century, and in that short time, we've already created nuclear weapons, destabilized our environment, and invented artificial intelligence that even we don't fully understand. Perhaps every intelligent civilization eventually invents something it cannot control, leading to its own extinction before it ever develops the ability to travel the stars. If that is the case, then the silence of the universe may not be reassuring at all, it may be a warning of our own future. But there are other, stranger explanations. Maybe alien civilizations exist, but they are so advanced that we cannot even comprehend their presence. To an ant crawling on the ground, A skyscraper is nothing more than an oddly shaped obstacle, impossible to truly understand. Likewise, humanity may be surrounded by alien technology or communication methods that are simply invisible to us because we don't yet have the senses, the tools, or the intelligence to detect them. To us, the universe looks empty, but perhaps that is only because we are looking at it through the wrong lens. Then there's the unsettling idea that aliens might deliberately be avoiding us. Some scientists call this the zoo hypothesis, the suggestion that Earth is like an exhibit in a cosmic zoo. In this view, advanced civilizations know we exist, but they have chosen not to interfere, just as we try not to disturb animals in the wild. Maybe they're waiting for us to reach a certain level of maturity before revealing themselves, or maybe they simply don't find us interesting. After all, from a galactic perspective, we're still just primitive creatures who fight over resources and argue about pineapple on pizza. Why would anyone want to talk to us? Of course, there's also the more unsettling possibility. Maybe advanced civilizations exist, but something is actively eliminating them. This is sometimes called the Great Filter Theory. The idea is that somewhere along the path from simple life to galaxy-spanning intelligence, there is a nearly impossible hurdle or a fatal trap that almost no species can survive. We don't know what the filter is. It could be the jump from single-celled to multicellular organisms, or it could be much later at the stage where civilizations gain the power to destroy themselves. If the Great Filter is behind us, then humanity is incredibly lucky. We've already passed the hardest test. But if the Great Filter lies ahead, then the silence of the stars may be the sound of civilizations that never made it, warning us of what is to come. The Fermi paradox leaves us with a profound sense of uncertainty. It forces us to question not only the existence of extraterrestrials but also our own future. Are we truly special, the lone thinking species in a universe of mindless stars and planets? Or are we just one among countless civilizations, separated by distances so vast that communication is nearly impossible? Or worse, are we on a doomed path, destined to vanish like so many others before us, leaving the universe quiet once more? Each possible answer changes how we see ourselves and our place in the cosmos. And yet, despite the silence, we continue to search. We build bigger telescopes, listen for fainter signals, and dream of the day when the paradox is finally resolved. Maybe tomorrow, maybe 1,000 years from now, maybe never, but the question will not go away. Fermi's simple "where is everybody?" continues to echo across the decades, a haunting reminder of the mystery that surrounds us. In the vast cosmic ocean filled with billions of possible homes, the greatest mystery of all may be not the presence of aliens but their absence.
For as long as humans have wondered about aliens, we've also dreamed about actually talking to them. It's one thing to imagine life out there, it's another to try to make contact. And so, in the last century, humanity has begun its first, somewhat awkward, attempts at saying hello to the cosmos. You could almost imagine us like a kid standing at the edge of a forest, yelling into the trees, hoping something or someone yells back. Our first efforts were clumsy, hopeful, and maybe a little naive, but they were historic all the same. One of the earliest serious attempts to listen for aliens began in the 1960s with a project called SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. The idea was simple. If advanced civilizations exist, they might use radio waves to communicate, just as we do. So, astronomers pointed giant radio telescopes at the sky and began scanning for unusual signals. It was a bit like tuning through static on an old radio, hoping to stumble across a voice from another world. And believe it or not, in 1977, something very strange did happen. A telescope at Ohio State University picked up a powerful, unexplained signal lasting 72 seconds. It was so unusual that the astronomer who discovered it circled it on the data printout and wrote, "Wow," in the margin. To this day, it's known as the WOW signal, and no one knows exactly what caused it. Was it aliens? Was it just some weird natural phenomenon? The mystery remains, but it still stands as one of the most tantalizing hints that maybe, just maybe, someone out there was waving at us. But listening wasn't enough. Humans being humans, we also wanted to talk. In 1974, scientists at the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico sent out one of the first deliberate messages to space. It was a broadcast aimed at a star cluster about 25,000 light-years away, and it contained information about humans, our DNA, numbers, and even a simple diagram of our solar system. The message was carefully designed to be decoded by any intelligent beings who might intercept it. Of course, even if someone does receive it, it will take 25,000 years to get there, and another 25,000 years for a reply. So, yeah, don't stay up waiting for the phone to ring. But symbolically, it was powerful. For the first time in history, we weren't just asking the question, "Are we alone?" We were actively sending out our return address. Around the same time, NASA launched the Voyager probes, each carrying a golden record. This wasn't a CD or a Spotify playlist, but an actual golden disc containing sounds and images from Earth. Greetings in multiple languages, music from Beethoven to Chuck Berry, recordings of whales, birds, and even a mother kissing her baby. The idea was to capture the essence of life on Earth, a kind of time capsule drifting through the stars. The odds of anyone ever finding it are almost zero, but if they do, they'll get a small but beautiful glimpse of who we are. Some people call it humanity's greatest mixtape, and in a way, that's exactly what it is. A cosmic message in a bottle tossed into the vast ocean of space. These efforts might sound romantic, but they also raise deep questions. Should we even be trying to contact aliens? What if the ones who hear us aren't friendly? Stephen Hawking once warned that broadcasting our existence might be dangerous, comparing it to when Native Americans first encountered Columbus. Not exactly a happy ending. And yet, others argue that the benefits outweigh the risks, that contact could be the greatest event in human history. After all, any civilization advanced enough to receive our signals would almost certainly be far more powerful than us, and probably wouldn't need to conquer a tiny blue planet just to steal our resources. Still, the debate rages on. Do we hide quietly in the cosmic forest, or do we shout out proudly, announcing our presence? What's fascinating is that even though our technology is still young, these early attempts have already changed how we see ourselves. The Arecibo message, the Voyager records, and the countless hours of SETI listening all reflect something deeply human, our desire to reach out, to connect, to know that we're not alone. Even if no one ever answers, the very act of sending those messages says something profound about us. It shows that, despite our flaws, our wars, our endless arguments, humanity is united by a common question and a common hope. Maybe one day, centuries from now, some distant beings will stumble upon a golden record drifting in the void, play it, and hear the laughter of children or the rhythm of ancient music. Maybe they'll smile, or whatever the alien version of smiling is, and realize that across the vastness of space, another species once dared to say hello. For now, though, the silence remains. We've sent our postcards, we've shouted into the void, we've listened as carefully as our technology allows, and yet the stars still do not answer. The cosmic phone keeps ringing, but no one picks up. Still, we keep trying, because to stop would be to accept that we're alone, and humanity simply cannot live with that silence. The search continues, and so does the hope that one day, somewhere in the darkness, we will finally hear a reply. When we gaze up at the night sky, it's easy to see stars as distant, cold, and silent. But to many astronomers and dreamers, those stars are not just burning balls of gas. They might be cosmic billboards carrying hidden messages. The idea may sound like science fiction, but for decades, scientists have wondered if advanced civilizations could leave behind deliberate patterns, clues, or signals embedded in the very fabric of the universe. If you wanted to say hello to a younger species without sending spaceships across light years, the stars themselves might make the perfect canvas. One of the simplest ways to imagine this is through patterns of light. Stars naturally twinkle, but what if some of them twinkled in a way that was deliberate, like a kind of Morse code written in starlight? Astronomers have even speculated that alien civilizations might build giant structures around their stars, not only to harvest energy, but also to create artificial dips in brightness that could serve as a kind of galactic signal. When telescopes on Earth detect these unusual fluctuations, we might be seeing the alien equivalent of a "Hey there" scrawled across the cosmos. In fact, in 2015, astronomers studying a star called Tabby's star noticed bizarre dimming patterns that didn't match anything we had seen before. For a while, some wondered if it could be evidence of a massive alien megastructure, though the mystery has since been largely explained by dust clouds. Still, for a brief, thrilling moment, the possibility felt real. But light isn't the only medium for a cosmic message. Some scientists have proposed that aliens might use mathematics, embedding universal truths into star maps or cosmic alignments. After all, math is the one language that doesn't depend on culture. 2 + 2 equals 4 whether you're human, Martian, or a tentacle-covered being orbiting a black hole. Imagine looking at the sky and discovering that the positions of certain stars formed perfect equations, or even a kind of galactic postcard spelling out Pythagoras' theorem. It sounds wild, but if you're an advanced civilization trying to communicate with the universe, math might be the ultimate Rosetta Stone. There are even more exotic ideas. Some thinkers suggest that alien civilizations could manipulate pulsars, rapidly spinning neutron stars that already send out regular beams of energy. What better way to send a cosmic signal than by adjusting a pulsar's rhythm, turning it into a giant lighthouse across the galaxy? These cosmic beacons already flash with incredible precision, almost like cosmic clocks, and the thought that some of them might actually be alien-made has kept more than a few astronomers awake at night. The challenge, of course, is that pulsars also occur naturally, so distinguishing an artificial one from a natural one is a bit like trying to find a single deliberate knock in the middle of a thunderstorm. But perhaps the most beautiful possibility is that the universe itself is the message. Maybe the laws of physics, the constants of nature, and the delicate balance that allows life to exist are not just accidents, but deliberate signs. Some have even suggested that our entire cosmos could be a kind of grand communication system, a message from one intelligence to another written across space and time. It's a dizzying idea, but one that forces us to rethink what contact might mean. Maybe it isn't about receiving a clear hello on a radio telescope. Maybe it's about recognizing that the universe itself has been whispering to us all along. Of course, the practical side of humanity doesn't stop there. Even now, astronomers search star systems for anomalies that don't fit nature's patterns, cataloging anything that might be artificial. The hunt for Dyson spheres, giant structures that could surround stars to capture energy, continues. The analysis of pulsars, fast radio bursts, and unexplained cosmic signals is ongoing. Each new mystery brings with it a wave of speculation. Is it natural, or could it be someone out there trying to get our attention? Most of the time, the answer turns out to be natural: dust, magnetic fields, stellar activity. But the possibility lingers, and it's that possibility that keeps us searching. What's fascinating about this idea of messages in the stars is how it changes our perspective. Instead of seeing the universe as a cold, indifferent backdrop, we start to imagine it as interactive, alive with intention. It invites us to look closer, to question more deeply, to see not just stars but potential voices. Even if we never find a deliberate message, the search itself makes us more curious, more humble, and more aware of our small but extraordinary place in the cosmos. And maybe, just maybe, one day we will realize that the stars have been speaking to us all along. We just had to learn how to listen. For centuries, when humans thought of aliens, we imagined green little beings with big eyes and flying saucers. But the truth is, if you really want to find alien-like creatures, you don't need to look to the stars. You just need to look around our own planet. Earth is crawling, sometimes literally, with organisms so strange, so tough, so bizarre, that they might as well have come from another world. These are the extremophiles, life forms that thrive in places we once thought were utterly inhospitable. Boiling acid pools? They're there. Frozen wastelands? They're there too. Deep beneath the crushing pressure of the ocean? Yep, still there. In a sense, aliens aren't just out there. They're right here, living alongside us. One of the most mind-blowing examples is the tardigrade, often called the water bear. If aliens ever came to Earth and asked to meet our champion life form, we should probably introduce them to this little creature. Less than a millimeter long, it looks like a plump, 8-legged teddy bear. If teddy bears were microscopic and indestructible. Tardigrades can survive being frozen, boiled, dried out, blasted with radiation, and even exposed to the vacuum of space. In fact, in 2007, scientists literally launched some tardigrades into space and found that many of them survived. That means, right now, they're one of the best candidates for interplanetary hitchhikers, tiny astronauts, without even trying. But tardigrades are just the beginning. Deep in the oceans, around hydrothermal vents where superheated water gushes out of the Earth's crust, entire ecosystems thrive without sunlight. Instead of photosynthesis, these organisms survive on chemosynthesis, using the chemicals belching out of the vents as food. To us, it looks like an environment from a nightmare, pitch black, toxic, boiling water under pressures that would crush a submarine. But to the strange crabs, worms, and bacteria living there, it's home sweet home. If life can thrive in conditions this extreme, it suggests that icy moons like Europa or Enceladus, with their hidden oceans, might not be so empty after all. Then there are the microbes that live inside rocks, miles beneath the Earth's surface, where no sunlight ever reaches. These organisms are fueled by the energy of chemical reactions alone, eking out an existence in utter darkness. For billions of years before plants and animals appeared, life on Earth may have looked a lot like this, tiny, stubborn, and hidden away. And if life ever exists on Mars or on some distant exoplanet, this kind of microbial, underground life is probably what we should expect to find. Forget little green men, aliens might look more like little green slime. Even here on the surface, extremophiles push the limits of what life can endure. There are bacteria that thrive in boiling acid lakes, others that feast on radiation levels that would kill a human instantly, and even ones that can survive being completely dried out for years, only to come back to life with a drop of water. Every time scientists discover a new one, they're forced to redraw the boundaries of what habitable means. It's as if Earth is constantly whispering, "Don't underestimate me. Life finds a way." What's funny is that while humans spend billions on telescopes and spacecraft, some of the best hints about alien life might be sitting right under our noses, or under our feet, or floating in a drop of water. Extremophiles teach us that life isn't fragile and rare. It's tough, adaptable, and maybe even inevitable wherever the conditions allow it. If our own planet can produce creatures that shrug off space travel, boil happily in acid, and snack on radiation, then why wouldn't other planets, with their own weird environments, do the same? In fact, maybe the real surprise wouldn't be finding alien life out there. The real surprise would be if we didn't. The lesson of these tiny Earth aliens is both humbling and thrilling. We used to think life needed Earth-like conditions, mild temperatures, breathable air, calm oceans. But the more we look, the more we realize life can pop up in the strangest corners of existence. Aliens don't have to be exotic creatures from science fiction. They might be microbes thriving in a Martian ice pocket or strange fish swimming in the oceans of Europa. And in a way, we already know they're possible because we've met them here on Earth. The aliens are already among us. One summer afternoon in 1950, Italian physicist Enrico Fermi was having lunch with colleagues when he suddenly asked a question that would go on to haunt generations of scientists. "Where is everybody?" At first, his friends thought he was joking. But Fermi wasn't just making small talk. He was pointing out one of the biggest mysteries of our time. The universe is huge. The galaxy alone has hundreds of billions of stars, and around most of those stars are planets. Statistically speaking, many of those planets should be habitable. Life should be common. Intelligent civilizations should have had plenty of time to arise, build technology, and spread across the galaxy. And yet, when we look out into the stars, we see nothing. No spaceships, no radio messages, no giant alien shopping malls on Saturn's rings. Just silence. That question, "Where is everybody?" is what we now call the Fermi paradox. The paradox is simple, but the answers are not. Some scientists argue that maybe life is actually much rarer than we think. Sure, the universe is big, but maybe the conditions for life are freakishly specific. Maybe Earth hit the cosmic jackpot, a stable star, a protective magnetic field, a large moon to stabilize our tilt, oceans, plate tectonics, and just the right chemical soup. In this version of events, intelligent life is so improbable that we might be the only ones in the entire galaxy, possibly even the entire observable universe. If that's true, then we're not just rare, we're utterly unique. That's both awe-inspiring and a little depressing. But not everyone buys the "we're special" explanation. Another possibility is that life is common, but intelligent civilizations don't last very long. Maybe advanced species inevitably destroy themselves through war, climate collapse, or technology gone wrong. If that's the case, then the silence of the cosmos might not mean there was never anyone else out there. It might mean they're all gone. Suddenly, Fermi's question feels less like a fun puzzle and more like a warning sign. If the universe is littered with the ruins of civilizations that came before us, then maybe our job is to make sure we don't end up on the same cosmic scrap heap. Then there's the idea that life is common, but interstellar travel is just too difficult. Distances between stars are mind-bogglingly vast. Even if you could travel at a fraction of the speed of light, it would still take tens of thousands of years to cross the galaxy. Maybe civilizations get stuck in their own star systems, just like we're stuck in ours, and no one has managed to overcome that barrier. In that case, the silence of the universe isn't because no one is out there, it's because they're too far away to reach us, and we're too far away to reach them. The galaxy might be like a neighborhood where everyone stays locked inside their houses, lights on, but no one answering the door. Of course, there are also more unsettling answers. Some scientists suggest that maybe there is a great filter, a barrier in evolution that almost no civilization can pass. The filter could be behind us, meaning that getting from simple chemicals to intelligent humans was the hard part, and now we're special survivors. Or the filter could be ahead of us, which is a much scarier thought. If the big hurdle is still to come, then maybe every advanced civilization eventually hits the same wall, whether it's self-destruction, a natural disaster, or something we can't even imagine. In that case, we might be racing toward the same fate. And then, of course, there's the fun, almost sci-fi answer. Maybe aliens are out there and they know about us, but they're deliberately staying quiet. Think of it as a cosmic zoo hypothesis. We're like animals in an intergalactic safari park, being observed from a distance, while advanced civilizations hide their presence to avoid interfering with our development. If that's true, it means someone could be watching us right now, and the reason we don't see them is because they're very, very good at staying hidden. It's both comforting and creepy, kind of like realizing your entire life might be a galactic episode of Big Brother. The Fermi paradox doesn't have a single answer, and maybe that's what makes it so powerful. It forces us to confront not just the question of whether we're alone, but what it means if we are or if we aren't. If we're alone, then the responsibility of carrying the torch of intelligent life rests entirely on our shoulders. If we're not alone, then the universe is teeming with civilizations, and we just haven't figured out. For thousands of years, humanity has looked up at the night sky and wondered if we are alone. We've imagined gods, monsters, and distant civilizations, but soon, imagination might no longer be enough. With every passing decade, our technology improves, and with it, the possibility that the great silence of the universe may one day break. The future of alien contact is no longer just the stuff of science fiction. It's a question of when, how, and what happens next. The first and most likely scenario is that we detect a signal. For over half a century, astronomers have been listening with giant radio telescopes, waiting for a hello from the stars. Most of what we hear is static, natural cosmic noise, or sometimes even our own satellites bouncing signals back at us. But one day, buried in the data, there could be a pulse of energy, repeating in a way that no natural object could produce. Imagine the world waking up to the news. We are not alone. At first, it would probably feel exciting, like the greatest discovery in history. But soon after, reality would sink in. What do we do next? Do we reply? And if we do, what do we say? Hello, neighbors, we brought pizza? Or do we stay silent, Afraid of what kind of neighbors might be listening? After all, not all civilizations may be friendly, and once you announce your presence to the galaxy, you can't take it back. Another possibility is direct contact, though this is much less likely. Picture a scenario where an alien spacecraft suddenly appears in our solar system, hovering silently above Earth. Some people would cheer, others would panic, and governments would scramble to respond. The first question would be, what do they want? Are they explorers, curious about us the way we are curious about microbes in a petri dish? Or are they conquerors, looking at Earth the way we look at a ripe fruit? The way we react would shape the destiny of humanity itself. Would nations put aside their differences and unite, or would old rivalries and mistrust poison our chance at peace? First contact could bring about either the greatest era of cooperation or the fastest path to chaos. Of course, maybe contact won't come from aliens reaching out to us, but from us reaching out to them. Humanity is already planning bold missions to Mars, to the icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn, and one day, to other stars. If we stumble across microbial life in the oceans of Europa or fossils on Mars, it won't be intelligent life, but it will still be proof that we're not alone. And if life evolved twice in our own solar system, then it's almost certain it exists elsewhere too. The real turning point might not be little green men stepping off a spaceship, but a discovery in a laboratory, tiny alien microbes under a microscope, changing forever our understanding of biology and our place in the universe. But whether contact comes through a signal, a spaceship, or a microscope, one thing is certain: it will transform us. Religions will be challenged, philosophies rewritten, and our sense of identity forever altered. Are we unique children of the cosmos, or just one species among countless others? For some, the idea of not being alone will bring comfort, a cosmic family we've always longed for. For others, it may bring fear, as the universe suddenly feels far less safe. The truth is, no one knows how we will react until it actually happens. And maybe, just maybe, we'll learn that contact has already happened and we simply didn't notice. After all, what if we're looking for the wrong kind of signals? What if aliens communicate in ways we can't even imagine, or live in forms so strange we don't even recognize them as life? The real challenge may not be finding aliens. It may be understanding them once we do. As we stand on the edge of this cosmic question, one thing is clear: the search itself is as important as the answer. Every telescope we build, every planet we discover, every signal we analyze brings us closer to the truth. And whether that truth is comforting or terrifying, it will be the greatest adventure humanity has ever embarked upon. Because one day, whether tomorrow or 1,000 years from now, someone will finally pick up the phone of the cosmos. And when that happens, the words we choose, the choices we make, will echo through the galaxy, carrying with them not just a message, but the very story of who we are.